So here we have our little guy, and I just think he's so cute. And I kind of, when I started him, he looked like he's a baby elephant, and I kind of liked him like that. So that's kind of the route I'm going with. So for practice, I just want us to do. So we're going to do a square, but don't just do one. Doesn't have to be even. And I just want you to give the top just like a little wave. Okay, so what we're going to do, so the idea of Scribbles is that you are going to use a motion all throughout your drawing. It doesn't have to be the same motion, but try not to jump from something. I like to do kind of figure eights. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fill this, angle your pen a little bit so that you get a broken line. And you can do them in the other direction as well. Infinities, figure eights, however you want to look at them. So what I want you to do is I want you to start going from dark to light or light to dark. And as you get to the top over here, I want you to just start showing that motion, like there's a wave or something. And this is going to be really useful with showing, something that's rounded or something that's curved.
Who opened the garage?
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start with dark to light. Okay. So again, I have a first layer, so I'm just going over. Whatever kind of just comes to mind. And as I go to the top, because I'm going from dark to light, I'm just gonna spread my lines out just a little bit more. And as I go to the bottom, I'm gonna have them closer together. So the closer the lines are together, the darker the area is going to appear. Okay, you can already see how I'm getting that. Now up over here, we're gonna just try to do something that is going to show that curve. So what I'm doing is I'm imagining that I'm following this line. Okay, so it's just giving it a slight motion of that direction. Go tighter. And in places like corners, you're going to go over. So the more stronger a line you want, you're going to go a little bit more straight with your pen. You want to have a lighter line, you're going to go with an angle. Okay, so, okay, one more person coming in. Okay, so let's work on that for a little bit. As I go up, I'm moving in that direction, so I just can get a little bit of that angle. So what we're doing on the elephant is because the elephant doesn't have, straight edges and parameters, what we're doing is When we put in our squiggles or scribbles, we're actually letting them kind of just go out, you know, just have them almost like just trail off, just give them little tails. So that's one thing we're going to be doing, and I'll talk about it as soon as we get to it. Okay, so you know, just remember that if you want your area to appear darker, you're going to go over it closer together, and maybe just have your pen a little bit more just straight up. When you're going looser, you just angle your pen and go lighter. And when you want to go with a direction, just have your scribbles and squiggles go into that direction. You know, just kind of think of a guiding line that you're going to follow. And it will start giving it the feeling of motion. And we're going to see a lot of that in the elephant, especially in his trunk. Okay, so let me go back to, okay. So what I did here is I tried to break it down into shapes, and you know, honestly, anything that you want to draw, even if it's looks complicated, what it really means is that it's made out of more shapes. It's not just one simple shape. So always try to see, you know, what a certain area looks like. Look at the shape it might be, look if it has an angle, and you start compiling it that way. So what I did here is I started with, I can't remember what the name of this shape is. No, it's not an octagon, whatever it is. So I started with this shape, and what I did is that I slightly angled it because we can see that
Trapezoid.
Trapezoid, yes, thank you very much. And you would think I would know because I just helped my son with a geometry project. So yeah, it's a good thing I'm good at art because math not my area. So, but I angled it just a little bit to the right because his face is kind of, you know, and his trunk are coming this way. For the ears, I just did triangles, and then building down the trunk, I used, you know, somewhat of a rectangle, and then some curved lines that taper down and go to the end. Now, what you can do when you're building it is that you can look and see, well, where does the trunk stop? Or where, you know, how long is the trunk compared to the rest of the head? And then for the back part, I kind of built it with, you know, half circles, and, you know, just looking at this width over here. So I did 1 and then 2 and then built the legs from them. So again, I put a triangle here, little triangles for the sides that kind of jut out, and then, you know, the crescents for the tusks. So what we're going to do is, I mean, when you structure it, it doesn't have to be this geometrical. What you can do is you can, you know, just have the shapes be loose. So over here, I kind of left this as is when I started, just to show you that this is kind of what my start was. So see this line, these, you can see that this is kind of based on that very geometric sketch that I showed you. What you want to do when you build it and use the shapes is go really light, and I would even go squiggly, because you don't want them to look like defining lines or outlines, and you want it just all to kind of flow and have that loose, springy feel that he does. Okay, so we are going to start. Okay, so the first thing we want to look at is, you know, how big can we go? We want to make sure that there's some space at the bottom, space at the top, and a little bit of breathing room on the side. So if I'm going to start with his face is in the middle, just slightly to the left. So again, I'm angling my pen. I'm going to go just a little bit darker than I want, just so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, but for you, go a little bit lighter. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place the ears. And they're both almost the same size. And again, you know, you can squiggle that line a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to put in the trunk. So the trunk, you know, kind of extends from this line. And the trunk kind of stops just a little bit before the ear, so about here. Okay, and now I'm going to start with his body. And his body kind of, because we're seeing it almost from the side, so we do have considerable width. So if you look at his ear as a guide, it just starts a little bit past that. And I'm going to start with that first curved line. Second, I'm going to put what appears to be the back legs. And then this is kind of the leg that looks like it's in motion. So I'm just going to have it angle, and I'm going to have it look a little bit like it's lifted. See? Just lift up the bottom. I mean, and you can also exaggerate this motion if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm going to shape the face a little bit. It kind of juts out over here, giving me these two triangles. And then we have this tusk sits lower than this one. Okay. So now we have everything that we're going to be working with. So the next thing I want to do is I want to start giving the head a little bit of definition and shape. And what you want to do while you draw and start filling in is you want to make sure that you start accentuating the dark areas, because sometimes when you have a lot of lines, it's going to be hard to see where one shape begins and where one ends. So make sure that you do that. Okay, so I'm going to go start at the top over here, and I'm going to start just scribbling along the edge of that. And the first thing I'm doing is I'm kind of trying to find my way around. At the same time, I'm shaping, so we can see it goes up a little bit over here. And I'm just going to give the inside just a layer of scribbles, and make sure that you vary them so that it doesn't look like a pattern, go in different directions until you start shaping. Okay, so I can see that over here behind it, there's a darker area. So I'm going a little bit closer with my lines. I'm going around it. And I'm starting to shape. And you can do lines, just make sure that your line kind of, you know, complements the lines that you have in the squiggles. You don't want it to be a sharp line. So now you can see I'm starting to see a little bit of definition. And, you know, just having that really does help you kind of see what you're doing. So now I'm going to move to the other side. And I just like to kind of drag my pen, and I can see that this area, so this is kind of like right under where the eyes are, just for reference. And I'm going around it to kind of just help it shape. And when you do that, just pull some of your lines out, you know, and that way you'll have some activated space over here. So when you get to it, it's not completely blank. Go up. Okay, so this has a little bit of structure. I'm going to go just on the inside here where I'm seeing a strong definition. Again, make sure that your lines kind of go past that area, put in your little tight squiggles, and then let them kind of trail a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna work a little bit on the ears, and the ears are the ones that kind of seem to have the most poof and fluff to them. So, you know, on this one, just, you know, go within the shape of the triangle, but, you know, just also go out of it a little bit. And to go out, you don't have to do a steady line. It can be just like, you know, just like think of it just a hair like sticking out or just a line. You can even stop it and go if you wanted. And as I get to the bottom over here, they're becoming more defined. Okay, and be mindful of any like really light areas like in here and just go easy on them. Again, you know, do your lines and then pull some out. You know, try to think of the shape. So to me, the ear kind of, you know, is curving this way. So I'm just kind of having my lines follow that. So always think of the shape, like almost like you're touching the shape and you're going over it. That just helps get it a little bit more. So here the tangles are tighter, the area is darker. So when you do that, just always make sure you trail some of the lines so you don't have like a sudden dark area, because it's going to throw off the, you know, three-dimensional quality. It's going to flatten it. Okay, so we have some structure here. We're going to go to the other ear. And I always like to kind of just go over the shapes. And I can see that maybe his head is a little bit too wide here. So I'm just going to pull it in just a little bit. See, I just narrowed this area here because it looked too wide to me. And again, and what you can also do is you can just go over the shape that you initially put, and you can just go over it again. And we're going to start with our squiggles. You know, sometimes you can just do lines. They don't have to be all, you know, figure eights. I feel that the eights are fast. They cover a lot of ground, and it's something that almost like instinctively we know how to do. And as I go in here, I'm going to go a little bit closer together, more tangle. Always make sure you just pull some of those lines out. And there's some ridges here, you can see. So I'm going to go kind of closer together where they do. So I'm just like really squiggling kind of close together. At the same time, make sure you spread them out a little bit. So see, I got a little bit of definition there. Okay, I'm just going to bring it up close so you can kind of see what I have. And the cool thing is when you look at it up close, it just looks like a tangled mess. And then when you see it from afar, it looks like something. Okay, so we are going to move down to the trunk. And the trunk, you're kind of seeing these lines that are going across. So I want us to just kind of lightly put some of the prominent ones, and that will help kind of give you some direction when you do your squiggles. Just make sure that the lines you put in are not straight. They're going to be curved, and have them kind of just a little bit broken up and squiggled. Because also, you know, we're trying to incorporate some of the texture and you know, the folds. An elephant is an animal that has a lot of folds, so you don't want it to appear like that area is smooth. Okay, so using these lines, I'm going to use each line like almost a starting point, and I am going to see, I'm following that line. See what I'm doing over here? And then loosen that. I'm going to the line, working close to it, and have them loose. See how cool that is? Just using that line, again, we've got the squiggle line that we put and kind of, you know, curved. So I'm gonna use it as almost my parameter of where those lines are going to be. So again, I'm using smaller, and make sure you fluff some of them out so you don't have rigid lines. Okay, and then here they ease up a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit bigger. And again, down here, I'm getting a stronger one, so I'm going to use the line as a guide. I'm just going to leave a little bit of white here because that's where the tusk goes in. And then over here, there's not a whole lot of tangling, but there are kind of more lines. They're getting closer together. Okay, and then as we get here, they tangle closer, and then they really tangle at the opening. So you're getting a really dark area. Okay, now the tusks almost seem to have a little bit more of an elongated squiggle to them. So I'm gonna do that. I'm still doing like figure 8-ish, but they're a little bit longer and not as tangled. And then when you get to the dark areas, just get your lines closer together. You see, I'm already getting a lot of definition. And now we're going to, so to show the difference between the parts of the body, you can see that there is kind of a line here that is, you know, really forming the leg muscles and the different legs. So I'm just going to go ahead and just superimpose that a little bit, so I know where it is. And I'm going to start by going under it and doing kind of those stronger lines that we do have. And the reason I didn't fill in this, the bottom part of him with squiggles is that there seems to be like a lot of kind of gapped areas, especially at the bottom. So you can squiggle it, pre-squiggle it a little bit if you want, but I think it's fine just doing that. So if you want to do kind of almost like this crust texture that they did over here, you can. So I'm just going kind of with very loose figure 8s over here. And then I'm doing the same vertically, so horizontals, verticals. And then as they get here, they're getting a little bit more tangled and closer together. And don't forget to pull some out. Make him look squiggly and puffy. I think the slightly more, you know, angular lines here are giving a separation between the ear and the body. So I do like that. Okay. Now, as you're working, you might feel that I feel like if I go any further here, I'm going to lose where the ear is. So I'm just going to go and darken that area so it can stand out. And also what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and fill in almost this long triangle here because that is going to show off the tusk. And this one is quite a dark area. And just skipping a little bit. drag some of them. Okay. So I'm gonna work a little bit. You know, we are gonna go back to all the different parts, but for now we just wanna make sure that everything has its own shading. So you can see with this leg, I mean, this I feel is an important leg because it's the one kind of in motion. And you can see like almost at his knee, there are some lines that are kind of going this way. Okay, so I want to put them in. Again, I'm just going to use them as guides to kind of do some of the squiggles. Just have them just be a little bit more directional. And they're also going to give me full. And this is an area that, you know, if you're doing any, you know, you're getting more creative with it, is, you know, you could accentuate this area a little bit more and you can make those folds a little bit stronger, because I feel that this is a key area that is in motion and it's kind of fun to work with. I'm kind of working around this tusk because I want to just make it a little bit lighter than what's in the picture. Okay, and as I go down. And then this is going to be important here, where you want to show almost like the bottom of it, that it's lifted. So this is going to be a little bit darker here. Make sure you pull out your lines. I love this line that's kind of here. And what I would do is I would pull that out at the end and probably do my signature across it. You see, just doing this dark here is really showing that angle that it's at. Just move a little bit up here. Just giving this a little bit more definition, because they looked almost like they were running into each other. So these legs, the two over here, so we've got, this is one, and we've got one over here that kind of very loose. I'm just going to pull some of these lines just to give a little separation between the two. Again, this area is getting really dark. And just pull the lines down so you can make separations between the legs. I mean, they kind of all blend in together, but you do want just a little bit of separation between them. This area is getting really dark. You can see there's almost like a line here of dark, you know, like a dark belt kind of around the whole thing. Which really shows, you know, the size and the strength of the animal. Don't forget to pull some of them out. Needs a little bit more. And you just kind of want to look at it and try to see, you know, does the leg need to go out a little bit more? It's going to be very individual on this one, because we're working with such a loose technique, and you know, we're all going to have different scribbles and different squiggles and where they are, you know, when we pull them out. So, you know, just kind of take a look at it and just use your judgment. And, you know, see, does he look like he's falling? Does he look like he's stable? And just kind of play around with the lines a little bit. And I'm going to darken this area because I feel it's going to make him look more stable. And see, now it looks like he's in the right spot. Okay. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to put in the eyes before I go any further. and not have a place for them. So I'm just going to lift this up just a little bit so you can see kind of the work that we have so far. So I am using one of my thicker pens, which I think is working well. I prefer a lighter pen that I can layer, but this is really good for everyone to kind of see what I'm doing. Okay, so going to the eyes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to almost his cheeks where they start and make sure that this area is, you know, the right size, the right dimension. And I'm going to go across to the other side. And I just think that this could use to be a little bit darker and just a little bit more defined. See, that made a big difference. Okay, so for the eye, I'm going to put in the really dark spot that I'm seeing. And then almost like he has a little lid. Really not much to it. You just want to find a good balance. I mean, they kind of look like they have sleepy eyes. That's kind of their nature. They don't have like a big jarring eye unless you look up close. So it really has very little detail. And on the other side, almost like drawn out for me. So I think that works. Okay, so I'm going to work a little bit on his forehead, and you can see that there's a line in here. And, you know, I'm looking within this area to see what areas are darker. And I really like that he's fluffy up here. So again, I'm going to use like this forehead line that I put to kind of use it as a guide to just show a little bit of folds. And as you go around the eye, you know, you can make your lines go in that direction, and it will kind of just show the eye opening a little bit better. I'm going in here. So now I'm really at the point where I'm doing some fine tuning. Here you can kind of see also that the lines are going in almost curved motion. And just make sure that you pull them out so your lines don't look different than what you had initially. I'm going to work on this tusk a little bit. And what I'm going to do first is I really want to darken this area. Okay. And I'm just going to give it almost some vertical soft lines. I'm not going to go too dark because you do want to keep it white. And instead, I'm just going to work around it to define the shape of it a little bit. And look how cute he's turning out. Okay, so now looking at it, I feel that this ear looks too airy. It needs a little filling in. And it does have the dark here and the dark here, and then it kind of trails out. Make sure you pull out your lines. And as you get closer to the head, just make sure you, and also when you do that, you know, it's a great opportunity to kind of adjust shapes, forms, or anything that needs to be smaller. If you made this area too wide, this is a great opportunity to do that. And I mean, that's why the squiggling is so fun. It's just non-committal, and you can, you know, really adjust as you go along, and it's not going to throw anything off unless you go, you know, too dark, and then, you know, that's going to be a little bit harder to do. I'm going on the other side of the trunk and just working in some of those lines that are showing the folds. When you have, you know, a reference like this, you know, you just want to look and see where it's going darker, where it's going lighter, where the lines are grouping. And if you're working from a reference that is not the scribble, let's say this is an actual, you know, photo of an elephant or a drawing, you just need to look at your dark and light areas, and that's how you will break it down. And if you do see any stronger lines that you feel are going to define shapes a little bit more, you can go ahead and do that. I just like to go around everything several times just to make sure I didn't miss anything, or, you know, try to think of ways that I can group it better. Now I'm actually kind of starting to see almost like folds here, which I did not see before. And I think his top of his head just needs to be just have a little bit more of the illusion of a peak, because it's not supposed to be totally flat. So I'm just deepening my lines everywhere. You know, and just make sure that when you're finalizing your drawing, that you do look at all the areas and just make sure that everything makes sense. You know, add any lines that you feel are going to enhance the shape, going to enhance the shading. I just think he's so cute. I'm going to give this a little bit more. I think it just has a tusk has a little bit more of a curve to it. And with the leg section, you kind of want to make sure that you just slightly group them and give the illusion of there being, you know, a line almost that they're sitting on, you know, just like the ground line, so he doesn't look like he's floating in space. Feel that this area here can use a little bit more definition. Yeah. And also, you know, one of the questions I get a lot is like, when do I know I'm finished? It's It's a hard question because sometimes you're never finished. The most important thing is to realize that, you know, I might be tired because I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like I need a nap after class because it's exhilarating and you know, when you're drawing, I mean, you're really focusing. You probably don't realize how focused you are and how much, you know, brain power you're using, and, you know, your arms and your back, and, you know, hopefully you're engaging all of that when you're working. So it's important to know that, you know, maybe I'm tired, let me leave it. If you are tired or get eye strain or your arm starts hurting, you know, that's a good time to just leave it. You might not be finished, you just might be tired. So also sometimes if, you know, you're working on something and you had some challenges, you know, sometimes we have the feeling that, you know what, I'm going to stop here because I don't want to mess it up. And that's totally fine. But also, you could do that. And that happens to me a lot with portraits. If I have a really tough one, I think, oh my God, I nailed those eyes. I am not touching it any further. And then you kind of rebuild your confidence the next day and, you know, work on it again. And, you know, just don't be afraid of making mistakes. That is the single best way you are going to learn. I mean, you realize they're not mistakes, they're just learning. You're just learning. So, oh, I think he is so adorable. So like I told you, I was going to, let me see if there's anything else. Okay, I feel this tusk, even though in the picture is not very defined, I just want to give him a little bit more definition. And then as I'm finalizing, I'm just looking to see if there's any like really dark points that I need to do that will help. Just give it an extra depth and dimension. Okay, and what I'm going to do, like I told you, I was going to pull out one of these squiggles and I'm going to sign my name. And there we go. Let's see how everyone did. Okay, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Okay, so you can unmute yourselves. So you're all going to tell me that this was easier than you thought, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So?
No, it's easier.
Yeah. I think it's, Susanna, that looks amazing.
Yeah, it goes very fast once you get started.
Yeah, I think on this one, it's about nailing the shapes. So again, just a reminder, there is no complicated drawing. If you look at it and just think it's just going to be built of more shapes. It's just going to be a compound shape. So it's, instead of just, you know, like an apple is going to be a circle, you know, something a little bit more is going to be a circle and a triangle and a this and a that. So just really look at it that way, and you know, go wrong. Else want to show me? Oh, wow, Phyllis, I'm amazed that, I mean, this was done in like under an hour. That's must have been working fast. Lisa?
I'm learning to keep up with you. That's the thing I'm learning.
Exactly.
Lisa, how did it turn out?
And I made a baby.
It's okay. Oh,
Oh, that's so cute.
Job.
Mine's kind of childlike looking too.
oh, Sharon, that is excellent.
That's very good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Thank
Marlene,
you.
are you going to show us?
Good job.
Wow, that's very good.
Really good.
Can we see what they're doing?
Oh,
Can I
Carol,
see
that's
what the
Wow.
done?
sorry.
You know, it looks like he's gonna fall down.
I can't see his. Can you just push him back a little bit so I can see all of him? No, he doesn't look like he's falling down. He looks like he's going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carol.
If you want, Carol, that leg that's lifted, just give it a little bit more of a point.
This one,
Yeah, on the left,
I,
drag it out a little bit, and we'll give it some balance. But I think it's really good. Edith, you were going to show us? No.
We
Just
can't
lift it up
see
a
it.
little. Just pull it up.
Looks good.
Yeah, looks good. Nuera? Oh,
Yeah.
I like my favorite so far. I am really impressed.
where's Jerry?
Oh, Jerry,
Where is Jerry?
It's hiding.
she can't focus on Zoom. I don't know. I mean, she says, I like the in-person. I'll definitely be back. So, yep.
That's
My mom-
poor. Tell her that's poor.
Yeah, I know. Miss everybody. Hopefully, hopefully we'll be back in person soon, hopefully. And I don't know if everyone knew this, but Steve Gross was really sick.
No.
He got really bad. And, he's like such a,
Noel, was he in the hospital?
he was in the hospital
Was
Mm.
he on a ventilator?
now, but he got really sick. So yeah, thank God. And that's, I think, the scary part is that it's hitting Steve's like my age, and I have friends that had it and it was no big deal. It was less than even having a cold, and they're got very sick. So, we just don't know. So thank God he's okay.
Oh, thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, any questions or any?
Can I show you mine?
Huh? Yeah, because your camera is off, Andre. Of course I want to see yours. Can you turn your camera back on?
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, if I
Maybe-
can do it, it's okay. I'm not very good with this.
No, you're good. It just
You
takes.
you press start video on the bottom left.
What?
Start
It's
video.
okay, don't worry. I'll show it to you next time.
Okay, or you
I
can send me a
can.
picture of it. You can send me a picture.
Okay. What is it called again? This kind of.
Scribble or squiggle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
whatever you want it to be.
Thank
kind
you.
of art. So, it's fun. There's lots of things that I think this would be great, like for doing like teddy bears, and you can really make them look fuzzy. Things like a cup of coffee with the steam coming out. It's really fun. I'll try to incorporate this from time to time. So next week,
Coffee, cup of coffee.
a cup of coffee is fun. Yeah. So next week we're also going to do ink pen. So we'll explore another technique. And meanwhile, send me your pictures. Let me know if you have any questions. And everybody have a wonderful week. Happy
Thank you.
Valentine's.
Thank you. This is great.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Thank you so much.
Happy Valentine's, everyone.
Bye.
Valentine's.
Mwah. Bye.
Thank
From me to me.
Yeah. But trust me, it's
It's okay.
it's for me it's dreaded because my husband and my son both had birthdays and like 2 days apart in end of January, and then before that it was the holidays, and I can't deal with Valentine's Day. Every day is Valentine's Day. No, not really. My mother-in-law. No, he's so we're good. We'll do something. We like to do these things kind of like a, family. So anyways, I'll see everybody next week.